I love covering all of the channels that I cover, and every once in a while, things slip under the rug. Older content that isn't as recent as some of the content that they're putting out now, my workload, a ton of different things can affect it. But every once in a while, there's some hidden gems or some heavily requested content on channels that I react to that I haven't gotten to yet that I finally get around to, like today. Animated Horror Flicks has a 3-part pizza delivery horror story series that I really been wanting to react to, and I've been getting a bunch of requests for it. So we're gonna cover part 1 today. Make sure to head to Animated Horror Flicks' channel and subscribe, guys. Hit the notification bell, and without further ado, let's get into this reaction. Moretti's Pizza Delivery. Nightmare Pizza Delivery story.
I was working the graveyard shift at a local pizza restaurant just outside of town.
Okay.
We had received a last-minute order, literally moments before we were due to close.
Naturally, the restaurants,
But my boss would always insist on taking on as many orders as possible,
of course,
regardless of how late it was.
I cannot stand that.
I was chosen to make the last delivery on this particular night because the address was actually on the way to my house,
Okay.
and I was the new guy. I had already made plenty of deliveries before, but I was a little anxious about delivering to this specific address.
All right.
Especially after hearing so many bizarre stories from the other staff members who said that it was a very deserted area and the 2 guys that lived there were brothers, but no one had ever seen them before. I didn't take their remarks very seriously since I figured they were probably just trying to scare me.
Sure.
The strangest part was how they always ordered the same pizza, small with no toppings at all.
Most people do, though. Right?
I was following the GPS on my phone as closely as possible. I couldn't afford to get lost, and I was eager to make the delivery as quickly as possible. I arrived at the location according to the GPS, but I found myself in the middle of an extremely deserted road.
Okay.
I guess the staff members weren't joking about that after all.
They got you in the fee-fan
I couldn't
phone
see so well through the windows of my car, and my field of view was extremely limited.
Right.
So I stepped outside to get a better look.
You're in the woods.
I glanced in all directions until I spotted what looked like an old farmhouse just a short distance from the road.
Wow.
There were no signs of a driveway or any other means of getting to the house by car, but I could definitely see that the lights were on. The restaurant had already closed at this point, so there wasn't any way of calling there to confirm if I was in the right address or not.
Right.
Since it was the only place visible from where I was standing, I decided to grab the pizza and start walking towards the old farmhouse.
Okay, I got a bad feeling about this, yo.
As I cautiously traversed through the field, I could sense things moving and scuffling about in the surrounding trees, but I assumed it was quite normal considering it was clearly a farmland of some sort.
Cats, mice, dogs.
As I approached the house, I observed the shabby exterior and found it hard to imagine how anyone could live there. I knocked on the door,
and pay for pizza.
which was then followed by a series of strange loud noises. Then I heard a strange voice.
Who is it?
I told him that their pizza had arrived.
Just leave it on the doorstep.
I guess now I realize what the other guys meant when they told me that no one knew what they looked like.
So how do you
I
get the
carefully placed the pizza on the doorstep
pay for
while money was fed from beneath the
Oh,
door.
okay. You need some change, bro?
I grabbed the money and quickly made my way back to the car, but then stopped halfway.
Oh.
I couldn't shake this overwhelming sense of curiosity.
No,
Being
no.
asked to leave the pizza on the doorstep instead of actually opening the door
Just
like a normal
go.
person would do,
No, you
I
stressing
had
me
to know
out,
why. I decided to hide and watch to see who would come out to get
bro.
the
He's
pizza.
cutting people up in there.
I watched motionless as the door slowly creaked open, revealing a dark silhouette and a pair of large eyes piercing through the murky interior of the house. And then, he instantly looked in my direction and saw me. We stared at each other for a few seconds before I looked behind me and saw the lights to my car flashing like crazy. I took one last glance at the old farmhouse and was horrified to see that he now stood well beyond the doorstep. I turned and ran towards my car. After grabbing my keys, I got inside and locked all of the doors as quickly as I could. I started the engine and drove away, swearing this would be the last time I would ever deliver to this address.
Yeah. He just looking at you. He ain't got no face? Well, he didn't see nothing.
As the rush
though.
of what happened slowly wore off, I realized I hadn't stopped to think what might have caused the car alarm to sound off like that.
Somebody in the
But I
back
was
seat?
just too relieved to finally be heading home to think much of it.
Somebody's
And
in
I
the back
took great
seat.
comfort in knowing that I would be home very soon.
Uh-huh. With your new friend. Dude, something bad is going on in that movie. Very bad. Uh-huh. Somebody's in that back seat. I knew it. I told you. What? He's not shadowy, though. It's not a shadow. But he's very, very, very dark. Like, it's not natural. Like, he's not human. I don't know really what to expect about that, but that was really good, man. Part 2 and Part 3 is going to be coming up soon, guys. I hope y'all enjoyed it. Make sure to check out Animated Horror Flix's channel and subscribe to him. And a couple other videos that I reacted to him from him as well. I love his content. Thanks so much for watching. As always, this is Zueljin signing off. We'll see you next time.